talked about on here as we lead up to the NFL draft that one of the Vikings' big priorities should be coming away with one of the big six offensive tackles for the future. And I know, I can already hear it's like, well, they have to make sure they come away with one. Well, what if they don't? I mean, poop happens on draft night. So if the Vikings are out of luck, if the players go beforehand, or if they see insane value at some other picks, decide to pass it up, what should the plan be? All right, so current left tackle Riley Reif has a big contract, looks to be a placeholder, could kick inside the guard finally. That's been an idea that's been bandied about for a number of years. Also, it would be nice to have a long-term running mate with Brian O'Neill. But again, say if they whiff. Say the 4 or 5 go before the Vikings pick at 22, again, which is possible. I mean, Austin Jackson may even squeeze in there too, right? And or if they feel that Ezra Cleveland or even Austin Jackson could be a reach in the first round, probably won't be there in the second round, but maybe they find some value at a corner, at a wide receiver that they simply cannot pass up. Maybe Kinlaw falls, right? So weird things do happen on draft night. So if that happens, what should they do? What should they do if they completely whiff on the big 6 offensive tackles? I think they should turn their attention to the interior offensive line. So stay with us here because there's a pretty big distinct drop-off between the big 6, we'll say Wirfs, Becton, Wills, Andrew Thomas, our guy, Josh Jones from Houston, Ezra Cleveland. So that's our big 6. We'll put Austin Jackson in there as big 6.5, where young kid, developmental traits, but you do worry about how he played in some of the big games at USC, right? So say they miss on the big 6.5. Now, I also discount Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, who seems to be a late riser in the draft, who could also be a first rounder, by the way. But I discount him because all the other tackles do project they either are left tackles or they project traits that could be left tackles in the NFL. So I believe in Wirfs and Wills. Wirfs actually played a handful of left tackle snaps last year at Iowa. I think Wills could easily flip over to the blind side. So ideally, I'd like the Vikings to bring in a left tackle where, yes, Brian O'Neill played some great left tackle at Pitt. Could you flip him over flippy-floppy? Sure, but also I get a little creeped out about multiple moving pieces on the offensive line. But again, that's an argument for another day. But in terms of value there, I mean, the value from offensive tackle just drops. It drops like a rock as interior offensive lineman continues to rise. Where it could be a spot where there could be 7 tackles gone off the board before the first interior offensive line goes, and that's probably going to be Cesar Ruiz. So this may not be a great interior offensive line class, like we said before in previous videos. I mean, there may be one first-round pick, the aforementioned Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, but other than that, it gets pretty thin. It does get pretty dicey. There's going to be a ton on day 2, early day 3 talent that could step in right away on the interior offensive line, which is going to be where the breadbasket of this draft is. And if the board breaks bad for the Vikings, I think they should pivot and switch up to a complete full-on interior offensive line strategy, which would not be terrible. Again, yes, you do miss out on your left tackle of the future this draft in all likelihood. Maybe you pick up a project down the line. Maybe Oli Udoh is going to be the guy long term. You never know. But if you consider the immediate openings just in a vacuum are left guard, Pat Elflein, right guard where Josh Klein was cut, even though Drew Samia looks like he's ready to step up at right guard. But say 5 tackles are gone or even 6, or the Vikings love Cleveland, but they don't want to force a pick at 22-25. Understandable, respect. And if 5 of the top 21 picks are tackles, maybe even 6, 3 are quarterbacks, I mean, that means that there can be some serious value at cornerback, wide receiver, on the defensive line there on the board. So it wouldn't upset me if the Vikings went a different direction there. Or, I mean, hell, the Vikings could just put on the table, like, we're taking Cesar Ruiz. Don't care if it feels like we're overdrafting at 22-25. We're going to suture up that offensive line. I wouldn't be upset because young kid, love his size, love his skill and pass blocking as well. I think he could be a day 1 starter at guard. Plus, it's nice to have someone else with center experience on the team. So they go that route, or the Vikings go a different direction on the offensive line altogether. So they skip O-line the first round, which Thursday night to Friday, I'm sure Vikings will just be super happy, right? But day 2, would you rather have Nathaniel Moody, Robert Hunt, Jonah Jackson, Logan Stenberg, Tyler Biadasz, Shane Lemieux, or Nick Harris, or on the interior offensive line? Or would you rather force a tackle project like Prince Tagovailoa, who I like, Ben Barsh from St. John's, who I like, Matt Pert from UConn, who I like? I mean, I'm I'm going with the interior offensive line. Again, even though I like all three tackles, they are players who would really benefit from sitting at least a year. At least a year. And if you're into day 2 and you haven't drafted offensive line starter yet, you do need a week 1 contributor. That's something that they do need to pull out of this class. So if you're going with interior offensive linemen who may have a lower ceiling but have a higher immediate floor, it does make sense. Or otherwise, you're just going to be sort of pissing the wind at that point, right? Or you could snag a tackle prospect later on top of that things, a la Oli Udo, right? So day 3, I like guys like Alex Taylor from South Carolina State. I think he'd be a really nice zone fit. Ben Barsh, of course, could be available in rounds 4. Probably not 5, but probably rounds 3 or 4. Charlie Heck from North Carolina is a guy that I really do like as well. So that's the offensive line strategy I want the Vikings to go with if they do brick out on some of the top tier tackles. Well, 1, I mean, that would be nice. Come over with a big 6 tackle. 2, if that doesn't happen, pivot and start feasting on interior offensive linemen. And actually wouldn't mind if they double down on interior guys. So say you pick up a Jonah Jackson and a Tyler Biadasz, or Nathaniel Moody and a Shane Lemieux, or a Stenberg, or whatever. I wouldn't be upset at that at all. I just really wouldn't. Plus, a number of those guys do have some potential tackle projection at the NFL level. So if you get a tackle, it's cool. Start them, kick Reef inside, or let him go, free up that $8.8 million in cap, or warm that tackle prospect up at guard if they do project inside the guard. So probably not Ezra Cleveland kicking inside, maybe not Josh Jones either. But if you get into your offensive lineman, cool. Start him at guard, ride Reef out for 1 more year, or trade for Trent Williams, or draft the left tackle of the future, have him sit behind Trent Williams for a year. There's lots of options there. But bottom line, just keep drafting. Like, honestly, 12 picks. If 3 of them were offensive line, I would not be upset at all. Like, finally solve this interior offensive line and offensive line in general crisis for the Vikings. Just get it done, please. All right, but your thoughts. Vikings offensive line strategy. This draft, let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, pull us up in the Venmo. Please give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skull, production value.